Are you in touch with the quiet voice within you that's been whispering to you exactly what you need in order to feel fulfilled? Because that's your intuition, and all of us have an intuition, and it's talking to us at all times, sending us messages about what we need in order to grow and feel whole. So what goes wrong? Like, why do we get blocked from our intuition? Why do so many people get stuck in these places where they're feeling stuck and dissatisfied with their lives? That's what I want to cover right now. So the first block that I see is stopping people is that they aren't willing to wait for it. I see this time and time and time again, is that I work with people and I ask them to check in with their intuition, and they will close their eyes and they'll spend all of 3 seconds trying to tap in, and then they'll be like, oh, I can't tap in. I don't have an intuition. This is too hard. Okay. And, and then I'll ask them again, no, give it a go. And then they might spend 4 seconds, 10 seconds, maybe 12 seconds before giving up. Okay, so giving up too soon, just assuming, oh, this is hard. And the moment, so what's going to happen when you tap into your intuition? Uncomfortable feelings are going to come up before you're able to drop down. Okay, this is your doubts, your fears, any other resistances, your negative thoughts, your inner critic. The part of you that wants to keep you in the status quo is going to pop in and go, nah, let's not do this, let's get distracted. Okay, so it's important to understand you do have to put a little work in, but I'll tell you what, I promise you, I've worked with so many people on this, it will take you just a few minutes, okay? It's just a few minutes of taking some breaths, working through that uncomfortable, distracted moment that will just last a few seconds. And then the words that I use that really help is drop in, okay? Like even if you hear the words drop in, you can feel your body relaxing a little bit, and you kind of drop down into your gut a little bit more, like down into your body, out of your head, down into your body, okay? Importantly, if you struggle to do this, like potentially you might have, trauma with a capital T or some real severe dissociation from yourself, that's okay too. It's like most people can, but if you're the person who, even if you put in, a solid few minutes or 5 or 10 minutes of trying to connect in and you still can't, then you might need to get some help, and that's okay. The important thing to understand, okay, and if this is the one thing that you take away from this video is this: if you cannot connect with your own self, then none of the rest of your life is gonna work, okay? So this activity is actually, and working through the block, if you have a block, don't beat yourself up for that, you need more support working through that rather than less. But this is the most important thing you can be doing with your time, is connecting in with your own self. If you don't have a positive connection with your own intuition, nothing in your life is going to flow or feel right. How are you going to make decisions? How are you going to feel good about yourself? How are you going to, know your worth if you don't know what you really want and what's driving you, and, have a connection to your inner knowing about what's right and wrong, okay? Otherwise, you're always trying to orientate yourself around other people, and other people change their mind all the time and do all sorts of stuff, and they're not you, right? So you need to have that connection with yourself. And so it's worth the work, it's worth the effort. Often it will just take 30 seconds of calming your body, getting out of your mind, dropping in, and asking yourself, what do I need right now? What message is here for me to know or understand about myself? Okay. Now, the number 2 block that happens is that what happens when we connect in with ourselves and we get an intuitive hit, something will come up, but we will reject it, okay? We will reject it, and there's 2 reasons why we reject this. There's 2 different blocks. One of them is because it makes us feel vulnerable. And so the story I want to give is a woman who came into my office, and I asked her to tap into her intuition. And she was a woman who, her marriage was falling apart. She was really busy at work. She had kids, and she was just juggling all the balls and trying to hold it all together. And she came into my office in quite a frazzled state. And I asked her to tap into her intuition, and she did the 3-second thing where she's like, oh, I don't know. Okay. And so I had to be like, okay, well, that feels a bit uncomfortable at first, but sit with it and drop in and try, and what's coming up for you. She sat for a little while, and then she just shook her head and said, oh, I don't know. And I'm like, okay, well, humor me. Let's just go back to that moment just before you shook your head. What were you shaking your head to? What came up for you? She's like, oh, I don't know. I had to coax it out of her, and she said, finally, I feel like I just need a break, okay? And then after that, she burst into tears. And I think that's, she hadn't been admitting to herself. She was so busy holding it together and working so hard that her intuitive message was telling her, I need a break. And I bet it had been telling her for a very, very, very long time, long before she came into my office, okay? So what I want you to do when you connect into your intuition is don't filter. Don't filter it through your current thoughts. Often the messages that come up from our intuition are very distant from what we're actually doing, especially if our lives aren't working quite well at the moment. And that message is important. That message is going to help you come to wholeness, because we live in a society that's like push, push, push. And often the messages that are coming up are messages that we reject, like slow down, you need a rest, let go of some things, stop trying to control everything. Messages that our ego is like, no, if I just keep on going, maybe I can make it work, right? Like, no, that's not working for you. Listen to the messages that are coming up, even if it makes you feel vulnerable. Sometimes they'll come with a flood of emotions, and that is good. That is emotional release. That's what we need in order to feel good, instead of all tense and in life. Okay, so the third block that I want to call up is similar, but basically this block is when we reject an intuitive message because it doesn't make sense to us. Like, we don't even know what to do with that message. And the example I'll give is from my own life, where I was really miserable for quite a while in my job. And I remember sitting with myself in the bed, checking in with myself. And the intuitive message that came up for me was, I need help. Okay. And, I was at that age, 27, I was an independent woman, I was paying all my own bills, I was moving ahead, I had plans for my career, I was moving in life, and I was on that track. And the intuitive message, I need help, I was like, what's that? That doesn't make any sense. And I totally ignored it, and I just kept on doing what I was doing, okay? That was a mistake, okay? Because we can't run from our intuition. I mean, we can run. We can run away for years and years and years, but eventually it's going to catch up to us. We can't run away from it. We can't get away from it. And what happened to me is that eventually I burnt myself out pushing too hard, and I ended up in a depressive state in my bed, unable to get out of bed, and I had to go see a therapist and go get help. Because the truth was, my current state of being, my current mindset, my emotional disconnect from myself, my belief system, I needed help to get out of it. I couldn't get out by myself, and that voice was telling me exactly what I needed. It's just at the time, my whole belief system was centered around me doing everything by myself and working hard and getting ahead, okay? So I hope that gives you a sense of how we can cut ourselves off from the medicine, like the intuitive medicine that's coming at us. Like, it's just sitting there waiting for us to hear it. It's just sitting there saying, there's a different way of doing things. If you're not in touch with your intuition, your life isn't feeling good right now. And so we do need a little bit of humility to say, oh, maybe I need to not be so judgy, not reject the messages that are coming from me, and open my mind and open my heart to the fact that, this is medicine that can help me break free from the frustrating patterns that I'm in and the way my life is running that's not properly fulfilling me. okay? And part of this is about trust. We're conditioned in the world to not trust our own inner knowing. We get stuck in the school system. We get stuck in, a lot of us were raised by parents who didn't give us the capability to trust our own selves. They told us not to trust our own selves. And so automatically we reject that inner knowing. And so stepping into that trust, it is vulnerable. It's very courageous. It's a beautiful thing. And often it has to do with healing old wounds, opening up to new ways of being that feel better, more easeful, more joyful, and releasing some of that old crap that's just making us miserable, right? It's just making us miserable. And trying to think what else. So the last thing I wanted to say is, if you've come to this video, maybe you're on a personal growth journey, and I wanted to mention one intuitive hit that trips a lot of people up when they're on the personal growth journey. It's like when you've been making steps to make changes in your life and things are happening and things are starting to change, and there's always a moment in that journey where your ego starts to freak out and you start overthinking and all your doubts come in and you're like, maybe I've made the wrong choice and I don't know, and maybe maybe I should be doing something else, and you get shiny object syndrome and you kind of wonder, should I be doing something else? And in that moment, if you check in with your intuition, sometimes how it feels is like there's just kind of this almost an emptiness, or the words that often come with it is, it's okay, right? It's okay. And the message that comes from your intuition often when you're on the path of growth is often everything's fine, okay? I don't have any change. You just need to keep on going. Keep walking the path. There's nothing actually wrong, okay? And so many people, they don't want to hear that message because there's all these other loud voices in their head saying, what about this? And I need to work harder. No, we work less, do less. Keep on making those changes. Step into the more beautiful way of being that you're stepping into. Everything's fine, okay? So I really think that's important. Our intuitive messages are always bringing us home. They are always bringing us to wholeness. They are always bringing us to fulfillment. They might not align with exactly what we want in our career or how we want to look at this point in our life, but over time, sustainably, they're always leading us to our creative potential. They're always leading us to our wholeness. It's just that sometimes, like for me, when I had that voice, you need help, that was healing that I needed to do. I needed to connect with my emotions. I was so in such a state of disconnect from myself that I just would never have been able to create anything because I needed healing. So sometimes we're drawn in ways that we might, need a little bit of humility and acceptance to understand, this is the foundation work that I need to do in order to get to that more creative place in the creative messages. Because now I hear, create something, do videos, step out in the world, show your face. And this is the messages that I wanted before, but I needed to do the groundwork. Okay, and my intuition was very clearly telling me. So I hope this video is not getting too long, but one last thing that I want to say is let yourself experiment, okay? So don't just take my word for it. Tap in, drop in, listen up for your intuitive hit. If it doesn't come immediately, don't just give up on yourself. Do the work, because this is the most important work you need to do in your whole life, right? Tapping into your own self, okay? Do the work. It might take you a couple of days of tapping in, dropping in a few times, and then a hit will come up, and suddenly something will come up for you, okay? So drop in, hear what there is to say, even if it doesn't make sense, even if it makes you feel quite taken aback. Get curious about it, get vulnerable, be courageous and step into it and explore what it might mean in your life and start asking questions, look around. If you need help doing that, please get in touch with me. I'm here to help. And I wish you all the best on that journey of self-discovery and connecting in with yourself, because it's so exciting and it's such a beautiful adventure, and I wish you all the best. Okay, please like and subscribe. See you later.